Welcome to Season 5, the final season of rebuilding Blackburn Rovers. And last season we pretty much achieved what we wanted to by winning the Premier League as well as the Champions League and the FA Cup. But let's see how much further we can take this team. Welcome back to the video. Welcome to part 1 of the video. If you've never watched any of these before, they're split into 3 parts. Part 1, where I bring you up to speed on transfer business, season preview stuff, what a schedule looks like for the season, all that kind of wonderful stuff. And then in part 2, we give a mid-season review, show you where we are, and then at the end, in part 3, we do an end-of-season review. Few housekeeping things to get out of the way before we get started to the video. First of all, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Next week will be part 1, episode 1 of the new rebuild series. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it now. I will tell you a little bit about it towards the end of the video. So make sure you're here for part 3 so you can hear a little bit about that. But yeah, that's going to be coming out next week, 2 PM, as I always do on a Sunday. Let's get into this video though. And we'll go to our schedule first, I think. Our pre-season's been fine. We did lose the Community Shield to Tottenham 2-0, Jadon Sancho and an Orkun Koku own goal. We started off with a pretty reasonable 1-1 draw against Lausanne for the first game of pre-season. Bear in mind we're on our pre-season tour of Austria as well. Then we played Grazer AK, won that 5-0, few goals in there, nice comfortable win. Hartberg we won 4-0. Then I decided to bring out the reserve team, basically the backup team, to get them match fitness. We played Northwich Victoria, won 16-1. We then played Plasmatic and won 11-1. We then played Monaco. Now, I'll hold my hands up to this. I was meant to actually put the full team in for this game, but I completely forgot and just went into the game with the backup team and we got beaten 2-0. It's got fitness into us, so I'm not overly concerned. I'm not really concerned about the loss to Tottenham. I mean, A, it's a Community Shield, so it doesn't really matter. But B, our main issue is creating chances, as you can see. And yeah, like I say, it's a Community Shield. It is what it is. We've won it a couple of times. We can't be greedy, I suppose. And yeah, the Community Shield, that's done with. So we start off in the league against Leicester City with a home game. Then we've got Liverpool in the UEFA Super Cup. Again, I'm not really worried about that. I'd like to win it because we've not won it in this series. So it would be another trophy to tick off along with the Carabao Cup. Then we play Aston Villa away, Crystal Palace at home, Brentford away. Then we've got a Carabao Cup third round tie, which we went out in the third round tie of the Carabao Cup last year. If I just filter this down to Carabao Cups, and let's have a look at how we've performed in the Carabao Cup since we've been here. So since we've been here, we got to the semi-final and lost to Liverpool in the first season. Then we got to the third round and lost to Arsenal. Then the third round and lost to Newcastle. And then the third round and lost it. So we really don't perform in the Carabao Cup. 3 years in a row we've been knocked out in the third round. So yeah, not a great competition for us. So we need to try and improve that a little bit in this episode. And then we have Everton in the league. In terms of what we end the season doing, this is obviously without fixtures being rearranged and whatever else. This run of last 7 games, I mean, this is tough. We've got Liverpool at home, Man City away. Then we've got Sunderland, Burnley, Fulham. 3 games we'd probably expect to win. And then we've got Tottenham and Arsenal to end the season. So 4 teams that you'd expect to be challenging for the title in our last 7 games. Now, let's have a look at transfers. I'm just getting that to where I need it. We've only made a few. We have got one signing that's hopefully going to be arriving soon. Matheus Cunha from Flamengo. He's a sweeper keeper. We've offered 1 million with 3.5 million in instalments. He's a backup goalkeeper, basically. Ainsley Pearce is likely to be leaving. If he doesn't, he'll be chucked in the under-21s. But yeah, he's 2-star current with 3-star potential, basically. He's just a backup goalkeeper. He's happy to sit on the bench, so I'm happy for him to do that. In terms of transfer history, there's not really anything to show you from what would be recorded on the previous season. It's just Ryan Hedges that went out in February. Yeah, so there's not really anything there to show you. But this is what we've done so far. So in terms of players out, We've had Conor Reardon has gone to Swansea for £4.5 million. He's basically the only money signing we've sold. Sammy Smodics has gone on loan to Leeds, and Lewis Travis has gone on loan to Nottingham Forest. Both of them, I believe their contract expires at the end of this season. That's a definite yes for Travis and yes for Sammy Smodics. So yeah, we're getting like £500,000 for the two of them in loan fees, and they're paying the majority of their wages. It means they're out of my way and I haven't got to worry about them. In terms of players that we've brought in, though, we've brought in Lorenzo Manni from Empoli for 38 million, potentially rising to 52 million. 4-star striker with the potential to be 5 stars. He is a wonder kid. So we've actually got a wonder kid, 19-year-old Italian striker up top. All his arrows are going in the right way. His finishing is 17. His composure is 14. Could do a little bit of improving there. He just looks really good. So I'm really hoping that he does the business for us. And like I say, 35 rising to 52, I think it was. And he's already got a valuation of around 120 million. He is a player that, if he doesn't go on to become a club legend, an Alan Shearer style figure for the club, then they could make an absolute fortune on him in the future. Then we've got Fabio Moretti from Juventus for 35 million, rising to 42.5 million. Moretti is a central midfielder. He's a box-to-box midfielder. Looks, again, his attributes are just really good. He's not going to improve any more than what he is. He's 3.5 stars. He'll stay 3.5 stars. But he can play the box-to-box midfield. If you wanted him to play the deep line playmaker midfielder, he absolutely can to a standard 3-star. He can do ball winning to 3-star as well. If you wanted to drop him back a little bit, he just looks a really decent signing. Like I said, with Lewis Travis and Sammy Smodics moving on, that's basically the replacement. Then we've got Abakar Silla from Wolves for 35 million, raising to 55 million. Look at his physicals. 16 for strength, 16 for stamina, 16 for pace, 16 for natural fitness, 16 for jumping reach, 16 for agility, 17 for balance. His acceleration is the only one that's not in the red. He's just got such incredible physicals. His mentals are really decent as well. He's got 20 for leadership, he's got 16 for bravery and 18 for aggression. His technicals can still improve, but the key ones are actually decent. So he's immediately come in and he's going to be our vice captain. He's a centre back that prefers to use his left foot, and his personality is a leader. That's the only player we've got in this squad with leader as his personality. So that can only be a good thing. Right, let's move over to the season preview and see what the game thinks we're going to do. Right, here we are on the competition screen then, and this is the first time since we've been in this save that we've actually had more competitions than we, strictly speaking, got room for. We've had to put the Community Shield here. So, yeah, we're already runners up in the Community Shield, as we say. Carabao Cup we go into at the 3rd round stage, same with the FA Cup. The Super Cup we've got in a couple of weeks' time. Like I said, I'm not really bothered about whether we win it or not, but the fact that we've not got it on our CV yet, I would like to win it. The UEFA Champions League, we go in at the group stage, and obviously we're in the Premier League now. Let's have a look at the season preview for the Premier League. And the board are expected us to finish 9th. Now, if you've been watching since season 1, you'll notice we started off with around 20th or 19th the first in season 2 when we first came into the Premier League. And we've gradually moved up. This is the highest the board, or the game rather, has got us finishing being 9th. So we've made progress in that, as well as progress in everything else that we've done. If we have a look at finances, we are back to being rich. We've got over 100 million in the bank. We've got £300,000 still left in the wage budget. And we've still got 3.5 million, although that will basically be wiped out once our new goalkeeper arrives. But everything's looking pretty decent there. 82 million pound transfer debt. The net debt that we've got, the overall debt, is just under 5 million. So, yeah, the club's in a really good position. If we look at the projections over the next 3 years, we're expected to stay in credit, so to speak, in profit. We're not in the red or anything like that. So finances are looking decent. In terms of dynamics, team cohesion is very good. Club atmosphere is excellent. Managerial support is very good. If we look at our tactic, and it's the same tactic as last season, the only change I've made to this, I have taken off get stuck in, because we were just getting far too many yellow cards last year. But it's a custom fluid counter attack. with Urbig in goal, Brown at left back, Vitor Gabriel at right back, Parola with Silla as his new partner in the centre of defence, Hinshelwood in the defensive midfield position as a ball-winning midfielder, with Orkun, Koku and Moretti in front of him, Dolan and Vinato out wide with Manny up top. When I look at this team, if I could choose what to, if I had another 100 million to spend, I would choose to replace these two here. Although I do think they're really decent. I think their star rating doesn't do them justice. Archie Brown is another one who his star rating doesn't do him justice. He's been phenomenal for us. By the way, he has now made 3 England caps and scored a goal, so he's become an England international while he's been with us. He's been with us from the 2024-25 season, so season 2. It was basically their first season of the Premier League, a 7.30, 7.19, a 7.07. There could be concern his ratings are dropping each year, but overall he's got, 9 goals and 21 assists, along with 14 Player of the Match awards in the 3 seasons that he's been with us. So and like I say, that's earned him an England call-up as well. He's now valued up to 59 million. We paid 8.5 million for him when we got him in. I really like this guy. If you're playing or you're about to start a new save in Football Manager, he will be in Gent, AA Gent in Belgium on a free transfer. If you're looking at bringing a left back to your club, 8.5 million is a bit of a bargain. I'd absolutely say go for it. And Vitor Gabriel, and he's another one who he has the potential to be 4-star. He's a 21-year-old Brazilian. If we look at him last season, he'd done a 6.89, 1 goal, 3 assists, 1 Player of the Match award in 28 appearances, 27 of those being starts. Again, he's decent. He's nothing amazing, but he could get better. He's 21, so he's probably running out of time a little bit. But he's playing regularly for us. He's got every opportunity to get better. And yeah, so that's the tactic we've got. And then this is what we've got on the bench. It's all looking rather decent. Ainsley Pearce does want to leave. I have promised that I'll try to get him a move, but whether anyone's going to come in for him is another matter. Robin van Duven, we're not looking at letting go. But if anyone wants to come in for Hayden Carter, Harry Pickering, Brian Aguirre, I've wanted to sell him, and he's been given an offer by SH Port most recently. Yeah, they're the ones still interested in him, and he rejected it. So if he stays around, he stays around. He can play left back and right back. He's a decent utility player to have. He's a player that I have bought, so I don't have a problem with him staying. Harry Leonard is winding me up something chronic because he wants to leave. It says here on the promise, I've made a promise that I'll ensure the player is sold, and he requested to leave. It was his choice. So I've not registered him in my squad. I've not played him in pre-season. That's why he's the only player that doesn't have some degree of green to his name. He's had probably half a dozen offers from various different clubs, including SH Port being one of them, and he's rejected every single one. So if he turns around and kicks off that I've not sold him when I promised to, well, I've tried, you've just rejected everybody. So that's down to you. So we'll see what happens with him. There is every possibility that he might still go. There's a possibility Aguirre might go. If anyone does go, I would be looking at potentially bringing someone in, but it also depends on how much money we've got to do that. I might even look at bringing someone in through the Dev Centre to see how that goes. If we have a look at the Dev Centre, we'll have a look at our under-21 squad and filter it by potential. Daniel Quinlan is still in there. He's been a player that's sort of been around the periphery of the team since he came into the game. Andy Foster, Dean O'Connor, defensive midfielder and a right-sided midfielder. Dean O'Connor does look like someone we could potentially give a bit of game time to, but they're not overly promising. When we look at our under-18s, however, we do have a left-back, right-back in Craig Jones, 18-year-old Bosnian. I mean, it doesn't sound like a very Bosnian name, I have to admit, but apparently he is Bosnian. And he's already got 1 cap at the age of 18. He's got 2-star current ability with 5-star potential. I think what I might do actually is move him to the under-21s. He's a player that I would like to give a little bit of game time to this season. It might have to be something like the FA Cup, something like that, because I want to try and do well in the Carabao Cup. But he's a player, 5-star potential. Again, if you do a save with Blackburn Rovers, you do have a good youth system Right, what we will also do is if we have a look at the facilities, so our stadium is currently reduced in capacity by 3,136. It's because it's going to be increasing in capacity once they finish doing the build works to it, which is due to be finished on the 4th of November. But as things stand at the moment, we've got superb training facilities. I'm going to try and get that upgraded again. We have excellent youth facilities, exceptional academy coaching, and excellent youth recruitment. Again, if you want to do a Blackburn Rovers save, they do invest in youth. Okay, they will allow you to do that. So you really could do a good little youth challenge save with Blackburn Rovers if you've got the time, which unfortunately we haven't. So yeah, that is pretty much all for part one. Like I say, stick around for part two and part three, especially because in part three I will be telling you a little bit about what's going to be coming up next week. And yeah, the next time you'll see me after this transition, I'll be able to tell you how we're doing in the Premier League and all the other competitions. Welcome back to part two, and things are going well. We are top of the Premier League table, 2 points clear of Tottenham, level on points with them. 3 points ahead of Arsenal, level on games with them. So I meant level on games with Tottenham as well. And we're 7 points ahead of Manchester City, also played 20 games the same as us. We may have been a little bit further ahead, but we've just drawn against Tottenham and lost against Arsenal. So that's kind of condensed that top three position a little bit more. In terms of the Champions League, we have played 6 games. We're on 16 points. We are almost through. We've just got 2 more games to play. And being 4 points clear, 1 more win out of them 2 games will guarantee us qualification to the round of 16. Obviously, if we don't get another win and we don't qualify in the top 8, then we will still get through in this playoff round thing that you have before the round of 16. In the Super Cup, we lost in that to Liverpool. We'll get to that shortly. In the FA Cup's due to start shortly, and we have been drawn against Millwall at home in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, so we're hopeful of picking up a win in that one. Obviously, you know that we lost in the Community Shield to Tottenham. We always seem to be playing Tottenham at the moment. And in the Carabao Cup, the competition that I said I really wanted to win because it's the one trophy we've not won. I mean, we haven't won the Super Cup either, but that's basically a glorified version of the Community Shield. But yeah, really wanted to win the Carabao Cup. We are in the semi-finals of that. We've got West Ham in a semi-final over 2 legs. And as you can see from the Premier League table, West Ham are bang mid-table in that. So we'd fancy their chances over 2 legs. And if we get to the final, we'd play either Manchester United or Liverpool. Let's have a look at the schedule. And the season started against Leicester. Yeah, it did start against Leicester with a 2-0 win. What I'll do is I'll just break this down into the actual competitions themselves. So Premier League, 2-0 win against Leicester. Then we had a 2-1 win away from home against Aston Villa and a 2-0 win at home against Crystal Palace before then beating Brentford 3-0 away. We then had Everton come to us. We won 2-1 in that game. 2-1 against Manchester United. 1-0 against Newcastle. Then we beat Manchester City 3-1. But league form since then has not been great. We then drew 1-1 with West Ham, who, as I said earlier, we got in the Carabao Cup. We then lost 2-0 away to Chelsea, both of them games away from home. We then went back home and we beat Ipswich 3-0. Then we had Bournemouth away from home and we lost to Bournemouth 2-0, which was a very surprising result. Then we won 3-1 against Brighton, 3-2 against Liverpool, 3-1 against Sunderland, before then getting a 2-2 draw against their East Lancashire rivals Burnley, a 2-1 win then against Fulham and a 3-2 win against Everton, before, like I say, the 1-1 draw against Tottenham and the 2-1 loss against Arsenal. If we have a look now at the Carabao Cup, because we've had a nice little run in that, it's been a fairly favourable draw, you'd have to say. We had Everton in the 3rd round, beat them 3-0, but then we had Portsmouth away and won 4-1. Middlesbrough away and won 3-2. And out of the 4 teams that were left in the semi-final, if we were able to pick our opponents, we would have picked West Ham. So, yeah, it's been a very favourable draw for us, which I'm all for because, like I say, I wanted to do really well. And what I will add as well is if we go to the the Everton game, as you said, we have been playing pretty much a rotated team, a second string team in this competition. Same against Portsmouth. We've even given Craig Jones a run out in that one. Then again against Middlesbrough, Craig Jones played in that one and we've been playing our backup goalkeeper, Matthias Cunha, as well, so he's had some game time. Then if we go to the Champions League, and in this one, it's been almost imperious in this. Copenhagen we beat 3-0, then a 4-2 win against Aston Villa, a 3-1 win against Porto, a 0-0 draw against AC Milan, a 2-1 win against Stuttgart, and a 3-0 win against Radomiak, who, if you don't know who they are, they're in the Polish leagues. I had to look it up because I did not have a clue. And we've got Marseille and Barcelona to come, which, like I say, when you look at the table, Barcelona are also going to be the toughest of those two games because they're currently in fourth. Marseille are not doing too badly. Yeah, they're in 21st. So they're in the playoff round thing before the round of 16. And they need to get points in order to stay in that. Right, what we'll do now is we'll go over to the tactics and I'll just show you about how some of our players have been doing, especially their new signings. And I've also got news about more new signings. Right, here we are on the tactics screen then. And don't pay too much attention to how the team looks. It's set up for my next game, which is against Aston Villa in the league at home. Then we've got Millwall in the FA Cup and then Leicester away from home in the league. But none of that really matters. Let's get on with how some of our players have been performing. And obviously, we'll start off with Jonas Erbig, our goalkeeper. He's the guy we brought in for 25.5 million last season to replace Nikola Kavlina. He's had a pretty solid time of it. He's not been as good as last season, I wouldn't say. Certainly not keeping as many clean sheets as last season, but that's not necessarily just down to him. But he's been pretty decent. Lorenzo Parola, who's our main centre-back, he's been good, 7.01, 2 goals and an assist from 19 appearances. But let me give you some of the more standout ones. Orkun Koku, by the way, Kochu, whatever his name is. We bought him last season for 16 million. He was phenomenal for us last season with 11 goals and 10 assists for 32 games at 7.27. This season, 18 appearances, 4 goals, 7 assists, 4 player of the match awards at 7.44. While he might not be scoring as many goals as what he was, he's certainly matching last season for assists. And yeah, he's been absolutely incredible again this season. Really, really like that player so much. And from what he's obviously a player in the game. So if you are looking at picking up somebody in FM24, like I say, he's currently going to be at Benfica in real life in the game at the start of the game. And you could probably get him fairly cheaply then. Then we've got Fabio Moretti, who's one of our new signings. We bought him in from Juventus for 35 million. And he's pretty much matching for stats. He's got 20 appearances, 4 goals, 7 assists, 2 player of the match ball, 7.07. His rating's not as high, but he has been really, really good for us. And them two are forming quite a formidable partnership in the centre of that midfield. Victor Mendes is in at the moment because Hinshelwood is injured. Most of his appearances, 12 of those 16 appearances, have been from the bench, so we can't really judge him too harshly on that. If we look at Jack Hinshelwood, again, we got him a couple of seasons ago for 54 million from Brighton. And he's been decent for us. He's in that defensive midfield role, so you don't really get many goals or assists from a player like that, and therefore their rating doesn't tend to do them justice. I do think that's something that perhaps needs to be remedied for FM25, is try and give a defensive midfielder good ratings for like tackles and their influence on the game. Then we have a look at Lorenzo Manni, who's a new signing superstar striker that we bought. And we got him for 38 million from Empoli. 19 appearances, all starts in the league. This is 11 goals, 1 assist at 6.93. He's actually got 15 goals and 2 assists from 29 appearances in all competitions. Considering it's his first season in the league, I am absolutely happy with that. I think he's been a real improvement on Van Duvin and Harry Leonard and anybody else we've had up top for us. When we look at wide men, Samuel Vignato, who's been, he was here last season, 17.25 million, had a good season for us last season, getting a 7. His rating's not as good this season, but he's still chipping in with 4 goals and 2 assists from 20 appearances in the league. But we have made a couple of new signings. And what I'll do, we'll go over to the transfer screen and go to transfer history. And as you can see, most of these you will be aware of. We have sold Joe Rankin Costello. I'm not sure if you was aware of that in the last one. We sold him for 18.75 million to Wolves. I'm not sure if I covered that in part 1 or not. I probably didn't actually. Harry Leonard also went to Luton for 7.5, raising to 10.5. And we have had the full 10.5 million for that. He's played in 20 league games, so Luton have paid the additional 3 million. Anything else that happened after the start of the season? I think Ainsley Pearce as well went to Coventry for 5.25 million. So we have bought in 36.5 million. Now, something really strange happened because I basically had no money left to the transfer budget. I think I had something like 2.5 million or something. And all of a sudden I got an email out of nowhere, and I'll put it on the screen round about now. And in this email, it said that the board were giving me more transfer funds. And I was rather delighted by that, because if we look at the club vision, it does say spend the original transfer budget. So I did spend the original transfer budget, completely not expecting them to give me more transfer money. But they did. They gave me an additional 80 odd million, I think it was. I've still got 44.6 million of that left. In the currently spending, we're basically on the limits. I can't really spend any more of that unless I reduce some of the transfer budget into wage budget, which they will allow me to do. I mean, in theory, I could reduce that to 30 million and have 2.7 million in the wage budget. So I could increase the wage budget by an extra £300,000 and still have 30 million left to spend. So there's wiggle room in there as well. And as you can see here, we requested the transfer revenue to be increased, and they've agreed to that as well. They're now giving me 70% of all transfer revenue. Absolutely, again, if you're thinking of doing a Blackburn Rovers save off the back of what you're seeing me do here, you could get that up to 100% in no time if you're getting the finances looking good. We're secure, we're not rich, but that's because this has dropped down a little bit now. This was at one point, this was like 130 million in the bank. We're now down to 65. We'll probably get down to about 10, 20 million left in by the end of the season. But then when all the Champions League money and Premier League money and all that comes in, that will boost that back up again and we'll become rich again. So we are doing really, really well. Finances wise, I think I can safely say I've achieved the target of leaving Blackburn in a good financial state. Let's get back to the new signings, though, because I'm sure you want to know who they are. Victor Hugo, we raided Flamingo again. We already got Matthias Cunha for 3.5 million. We've now got Victor Hugo. We hit his minimum fee release clause of 17.5 million. And 3-star current ability with 5-star potential. Can play on the left, can play in the middle, can play up top. He's got a finishing of 16, so he can absolutely play up top as a striker as well. And yeah, he's only 19 years old. He's already made 2 caps for Brazil. So if you're an attacker making 2 caps for Brazil, you've got to have something about you. And then we saw Tyler Diblin with Southampton for 25 million, again hitting his release clause. He can play on the left, on the right. He can also play in the middle. We've brought him in to play on the right. He's 2.5-star current ability with 5-star potential. And, sorry, excuse me, the whole aim is that Victor Hugo will immediately go on the left. Because if we replace him with, say, Therese Dolan, for example, he's 2.5. If we was to replace him with Yassin Benrahu, he's only 2 stars anyway. So he is an improvement on that left-hand side, and he's going to get better. Vinato, like I said earlier, has been down a little bit. So Tyler Diblin, I'm not planning on starting him every game at the moment. But again, he's only a little bit of a drop from Vignato. And, you know, Vignato's young as well. He's only 23 years old. He's got room to improve. And the fact they can play all the way across, it just means that Benrahu, who's out of contract in the summer, we can let him go. We've already got the ready-made replacements here. And Mateus Moreno, he wants to leave because he's not getting enough football. He's wanted on loan by all these clubs. It's only Flamingo that want him on a permanent transfer. We have put him in the transfer room for 30 million. If anyone activates that, then we will sell him. We have recently had a loan with a mandatory fee, but it all mounted up to about 10 million in total, so I told them to sling their hook. There's no way I'm selling him for that lower price. If we look at dynamics, team cohesion is very good, club atmosphere is excellent, and managerial support is excellent. We've shown you finances. I think that's pretty much all there is left to show you. Although actually saying that, we will come to the facilities, because training facilities, we now have state-of-the-art training facilities. We have excellent youth facilities, exceptional youth academy coaching, and excellent youth recruitment. And again, if you're starting a save with Blackburn, you could get all of this up to the top because the club are willing to invest. Our stadium has now finished its expansion. We've gone from 31,000 to 37,154. So we can now get more people in our stadium. We have already had emails come through saying that we're now getting record gate receipts and all this sort of stuff. So everything is looking really rather lovely right now. So join me in part 3 after this transition, and let's see, did we get to win the Carabao Cup? Have we retained the Premier League? And have we been able to win the Champions League? Oh my word. That Premier League final day finish, we'll get into it in a minute, but that was something else. So these are the competitions, and as you can see, as an overview, we've won the Premier League by 1 point from Tottenham. We got knocked out in the semi-final of the Champions League by Bayern Munich. We were runners-up in the UEFA Super Cup. We got knocked out in the 5th round by Liverpool in the FA Cup. And we won the Carabao Cup, the one trophy, domestically at least, that we haven't won. We have finally now won. We've never won the Super Cup, but that's not important, is it? Let's be honest. We won the Champions League last season. That's the most important thing. And let's have a look at the schedule and see where we were from the point of when you was last with me. And that was obviously the 1st of January, start of the transfer window. And if we have a look at the transfer history, there's no other players coming in. We didn't sign anyone other than Victor Hugo and Tyler Dibbing that we already knew about. In terms of players going out, there's a few that went out on loan. Harry Pickering, one of them, he's gone out on loan to Brest. There is an optional future fee of £7.5 million, but he's getting to the end of his contract, so they're obviously not going to activate that contract. That's one thing that I think is a bit daft, really, that when someone's entering the last year of their contract and a club comes with a loan for an optional fee, ordinarily you're not going to accept it because you know that they're not going to pay you £7.5 million for someone when they wait a couple of weeks and they can get them for free. Obviously, you can still loan if you just want, I just wanted him out of the team. I didn't want him bringing morale down or anything like that, so I just let him go regardless of what the option was or anything like that. But yeah, I just think it's a bit daft that you get optional fees. And I get it I've had it for quite a few players, and I think Sammy Smodics was one of them that I accepted it. I think there's an optional fee on him, or it's on one of them anyway, that we sold. Was it Harry Leonard? No. Ainsley Pearce? I know there's someone in here that we've had an optional fee on. And like I say, you're not going to accept it. But anyway, that don't matter. What does matter, and I'm going to put a screenshot on screen round about now for Arkun Koku, who we had a bit of an issue with him where he wanted a new contract. I asked him, his agent and that, what he wanted. He wanted something like £220,000 a week, and I'm like, I can't offer you £220,000 a week. He got the ump with it. At the same time as this, a club from Saudi Arabia came in for made a bid for him, and the bid was well below what I wanted. So I rejected that bid. He then came to me saying, I wanted to talk to that club. So rather than saying, usually at that point, I'd say the finances weren't good enough and then would agree a fee and whatever else. But on this occasion, I probably made a bit of a mistake myself. I said to him, okay, what's it going to take to keep you here? Let's talk numbers on about how much of a pay rise do you want. And that's when he come up with the £220,000 a week. I obviously couldn't offer him that, and I weren't prepared to offer him that. So I said to him, what type of contract you want. This is when he came back to me later on. He then said he wanted £700,000 a week. And I'm like, I can't be giving you £700,000 a week. That is ludicrous money. granted, it might be money they're willing to pay in Saudi Arabia, but it's not the money I'm able to pay. But anyway, we had an issue for him. It went on throughout the transfer window. Eventually, once the transfer window closed, the Saudi Arabian club lost interest and he then dropped his concern probably around the end of February. So it was a bit of an issue. But yeah, when he said to me he wanted £700,000 a week, I mean, my heart almost fell out my chest. You know, I didn't know what was going on then. But anyway, let's get back to the schedule and have a look at how things have gone. So we played Aston Villa in the Premier League and won 4-1. Then we had the FA Cup third round tie against Millwall and won 4-1. Back in the Premier League against Leicester, we won 2-0. Carabao Cup semi-final first leg against West Ham, we won 1-0. And then Brentford in the league at home, we won 3-2. We then played in the UEFA Champions League. We had a couple of games in there. We just needed one win from our final two games. We beat Marseille 5-0. We did lose 2-1 to Barcelona. In between that, we played Bolton in the FA Cup fourth round and won 1-0. And we were fielding basically a second string side. Craig Jones playing, Brandon Williams, Hayden Carter, Harry Pickering, Isaac Johansson, Daniel Quinlan, all this sort of stuff. And then we got to Manchester United in the league at home. We won 3-0. Then we had the Carabao Cup semi-finals second leg and we won that 2-1. So overall we squeezed through 3-1. Then we played Newcastle in the league and lost 1-0. Then it was a league game against Crystal Palace, which we won 3-0. And then it was a league game against West Ham, which we won 2-0. So nice run of clean sheets there as well. Then we played Liverpool in the FA Cup and we went with a full-strength side pretty much. Matthias Cunha did play in goal, but other than that, it was basically a full-strength side. And as you see there, Lorenzo Manni getting a 5.9. He was terrible. But yeah, 2-0 defeat to Liverpool. We're out of the FA Cup. We then followed that up with a 2-0 win against Ipswich in the league. Then in the round of 16 of the Champions League, we had Napoli, a 4-3 and a 3-1 win there, going through 7-4 on aggregate. We had Bournemouth in the middle of all of that, which we beat 2-1. We also beat Brighton 5-3 in the Premier League, which is a mad result considering we're usually pretty good defensively, but we conceded 3 against Napoli there, 3 against Brighton there. And I kind of think this is when things started to go a little south for us. So in the league, we then played Chelsea and drew 2-2. And then in the league, we drew with Liverpool 0-0. Then we played Manchester City in the Champions League quarter-final, a 1-1 draw, followed by a 1-0 win, so a 2-1 win on aggregate. In between that, we also played Manchester City in the league and won 2-1. So 3 games in a row against Manchester City. Then we played Sunderland and drew 2-2. And then came Burnley in the East Lancashire derby and we won 2-1. Then back in the Champions League, we lost to Bayern Munich 2-0 in a semi-final. We then played Fulham and won 4-0, but then in the other leg of the semi-final, we drew 1-1. So it was a 3-1 defeat in the Champions League out at the semi-final stage. Then we played Tottenham in the league, and at this point, we were 2 points ahead of Tottenham. And I kind of said to myself, let's make sure we don't lose this game. You know, that's the more important thing here. We'd love a win because then it'll win us the league, but let's make sure we don't lose. And we didn't lose. We got a 1-1 draw, Fabio Moretti with the goal. Then we got into the final day of the season against Arsenal. And the state of the situation was that obviously if we won the game, we would have won the league. If we drew the game, then we would have won the league because we'd have been 3 points ahead of Tottenham. And if Tottenham beat Chelsea, then they would have been level on points, but we'd have had a much superior goal difference. As you can see here, and this game was crazy, Gabriel Martinelli gave Arsenal the lead on 18 minutes. Victor Hugo then made it 1-1 on 46 minutes. And then Victor Gabriel, our right back, went and got sent off. And Brandon Williams, who came on to replace him at right back, got sent off 7 minutes later. Both straight red cards as well. As you can see here, straight red cards. So at this point, we were down to 9 men, 1-1. We then went 2-1 down to Arsenal through Alexander Zinchenko. Now, if we go to the league and have a look here, you've got Tottenham versus Chelsea. Finished 1-1. But what's worth looking at is Papa Sarr gave Tottenham the lead on 43 minutes. And it stayed that way until Chelsea equalised in the 90th minute. So basically, as we got to the 90th minute, we were losing to Arsenal, and Tottenham were beating Chelsea, and Tottenham were winning the league. And when my game finished and the end screen came up at the end of the game and whatever else, I had the latest scores instead of the table on my tablet display that you get during the game. And that hadn't updated. And I didn't notice that Chelsea had actually equalised. So when the game finished, I thought Tottenham had won, we had lost, they've won the league. And I was so deflated. I was like, I can't believe we've had 2 red cards, both to right backs. We've lost 2-1 to Arsenal. We were at home as well. And Tottenham have gone and stolen a 1-0 win. And it would have been a steal. Let's be honest. Look at they only had 1 shot on goal, a 0.37 XG, compared to 7 shots on target at 2.33. Obviously, I didn't know these stats until after the game, but it literally would have been that they stole the match. And then it was only when we got to the screen where it has the results down there and the table here that I then realised that Chelsea actually got an equaliser and that we had actually won the league. Oh, the stress levels were just incredible. Football Manager, you really put me through the ringer on that one. You really, really did. And yeah, so we've won the Premier League. Like I say, we won the Carabao Cup as well, if we get back to the competitions page. And Lorenzo Manny has had a terrific season for us. If we have a look at his career stats, basically for this season, a £38 million signing, 34 appearances, 18 goals, 2 assists. So 20 goal contributions in 34 games at 6.92. He's been pretty decent. He's actually got 28 goals in 54 appearances overall. And if we have a look at our squad, we're actually in a position right now where if we filter by contract expiry, there's Carter and Ben Rahu that would be going this summer, like in a month or so's time, 6 weeks' time, and we would happily let them go and just bring in some new players. This squad is really taking shape. It really is. It's such an amazing squad. And even when you get down, like Craig Jones, for example, who's a 19-year-old youth player that we brought through, 7 appearances in the league, 1 goal, 3 assists at 7.36. He's been fantastic. He really has. 14 appearances in total at a 7.21. And he's got every chance to actually fulfil this 5-star potential. He's already got a value of 50 to 58 million, which in terms of FFP and whatever would give, or PSR, would give you clear profit and whatever else. So really, really pleased with him. He's probably, it's made me feel happy about finishing the story here, because we know we've got a trained at club player there that's absolutely coming through. And we've just got a really good team. We look at our tactic. This has been an amazing tactic. You know, the counter-attack, fluid counter-attack tactic really has been great. And Tyler Diblin, and one of our new signings, he's got 4-star potential. If we look at him, he's only been here for the second half of the season, obviously. 25 million he cost us, 15 appearances, 3 goals, 1 assist at 6.77. Doesn't paint a great picture, but bearing in mind, half of those 15 appearances have been as a substitute. Victor Hugo, for me, is probably the better one of the two to show you. He's got 4.5-star potential, 20-year-old Brazilian. 14 appearances, 7 goals, 3 assists at 7.08. He has been amazing. He's capped at international level as well. Is Tyler Dibbin? No, Tyler Dibbin's not. I think he was called up, but I don't think he ever played for England. If we look at Archie Brown, by the way, he has now got 6 caps and 1 goal for England. He's had those since he's been with us. And, you know, he's had another pretty impressive season, 32 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists, 7.09. Really happy with him again. Again, if you're looking for a player in FM, go for Archie Brown. I mean, we paid 8.5 million for him, so he's definitely available. Hinshelwood has also made his debut for England. 1 cap, no goals. He's now valued up towards nearly 100 million. And again, we look at him, 28 appearances, 2 goals, no assists at 6.90. again, like I said before, because he's a defensive midfielder, he doesn't get the hype that perhaps, or the numbers that he probably should in terms of his average rating. Fabio Moretti, we'll have a quick look at him as well. He's been sensational, 35 million, 36 appearances, 7 goals, 13 assists from the centre of midfield at 7.13. He's been absolutely key for us. Orkun Koku, our contract rebel, not had quite as great a season in terms of goals scored. He's played 34 games and he's scored 9 goals, 10 assists, 7.37. So a better average rating than last season. 20 goals and 20 assists in the last 2 seasons altogether. He's just really good. He really. I mean, I can sit here all day going on about how everybody's really good and whatever. Abakar, Silla. I mean, look at his physicals. His physicals are mental. They really are. He's a real leader. 6.95, 32 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist. He's just been so good, and everybody, even the backup players, have played their part as well. And I just love this team that we've got. I really do. And it's a shame that the series is ending at this point. If we have a look at dynamics, team cohesion excellent, club atmosphere excellent, managerial support excellent. So you might be wondering, if I was to carry on this save, which I'm not, by the way, but if I was, what would the finances look like for next season? The transfer budget, I'm warning you now, I was stunned when I saw this. £103.5 million we're being given to spend next summer, or this summer rather. We've got just under £300,000 left in the wage budget, so we'd probably move. What we'd probably want to do is get that up to around 3 million. So what we'd probably do is something like that. Take that down to 85 million, that up to 3 million. That's perfectly adequate. If we actually bear that in mind, if we go to the Premier Division stats, the team detailed, I don't know what it is, I haven't looked at it, but finances in terms of salary per annum at 3 million, I mean, there you go, we're rich. We would be 11th in terms of our wage spend, and it just goes to show that the club does invest. And what we'll also do as well is show you the facilities, because we've got youth facility, training facilities are state of the art. Youth facilities are excellent. Our youth level is 2. They did agree to move that up to level 1, so it obviously hasn't turned over yet. Maybe it's when the new season starts, but that will become level 1, or would become level 1. Junior coaching is exceptional at academy of coaching, and youth recruitment is exceptional youth recruitment. You look at the dev centre, we've got strong under 18s, a below average under 21s, but strong under 18s. If we look at that through potential, you've got some good potential players there, anything between 15 to 19 years of age. And, you know, even here, someone like Andy Foster, for example, he's not going to come through and be a world beater, but he can absolutely come through and be a squad player for you. Same with Adam Beckett as well, that can play anywhere along that front area. He's only 19 years old. So, yeah, this has been a really, really fun save to do. It's the first rebuild I've ever done on the channel, and I couldn't have asked to have done a better rebuild, to be honest. Now, what I do need to do is discuss with you next week's video, because obviously it's going to be a new series next week. And I want a bit of a change of pace. You know, I've done Blackburn, I've done non-league and all this sort of stuff. So I want to rebuild a big club. And you may groan when you first hear it, because you might think, oh, what, another one doing this? But I want to do it with a little bit of a difference. Like, basically, I'm doing a rebuilding Manchester United save. Now, there's no aim in terms of what we want to win. I mean, basically, we want to win everything. By the end of the 5 years, if I've not won every domestic trophy and the Champions League, then we failed. It's as simple as that. But I'm going to bring in a rule that I can only sign players of 25 years and younger. And for those players that are at the club that are over 25 years, so basically 26 and over, by the end of the 5 years that I'm at Manchester United, I can only have players in my first team squad that are 25 years and younger. So we want to kind of do it a bit with youth. I'm not going full youth, like everyone's got to be under 21 or anything like that, because that would be ludicrous. But we're going to do it. Anyone 25 years and younger is all I can sign. and hopefully you want to watch that video as well. So please leave a like on this one, subscribe to the channel, and 2 p.m. next Sunday, as it always is on my Sunday videos, we will be back with episode 1 of Rebuilding Manchester United. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.